So that's the beginning of camp, and you want it to go well because that sets the tone for the week. Check-in day for your staff, for the director, and all your staff starts way before the campers get there because you need to get there early so you can be prepped and ready to go for the campers. We encourage you as a director to get all your staff, if possible, the night before and spend the night there. But at the very least, they should all be there 4 hours before check-in starts so you can go through the camp training videos, you can answer questions, you can tell them what your expectations are for the week so everybody can get on the same page, and you can pray together before camp starts because you're going to be praying together a lot through the week because good things happen at camp, and God is the reason good things happen. So we need to be bathed in prayer the whole time. So beside the staff that you've prepared for the week of camp, I would encourage you to have at least one, maybe two people that help with registration, and that's their sole focus is helping to do that. You'll have registration tables set up where the kids and the parents will come in. They need to bring their forms if they've pre-registered or fill out the forms that they have there. The medical release forms, the camper forms. They have to have that all filled out and signed by the parent or guardian. And you want to have make sure things are collected. We again focusing on building relationships. So we don't allow phones. We don't want kids with their noses in their phones or other electronic devices. We collect those before camp, and we'll give them back to them at the end of camp. You want to find out if they've got a t-shirt, what size they need, make sure they get that. The person doing the registration will let them know which tent they're in and who their counselor is. So part of the check-in is not only at the registration table. Once they've gone through all the forms they do at the registration table, they will then take their medical release form and check in with the nurse. Every student checks in with the nurse because we need to have all that information available for anything that might happen during the week. And it's also our authorization to treat the child if anything happens. And so they will check in with the nurse. They'll register any medications that they may have with them and need to take. But after they've done with the nurse and that form is completed, she will release them. The counselor should then meet them and help that kid take their stuff to their tent and get set up. That way, that kid is getting connected with their counselor immediately because they're going to be spending a lot of time together during the week. As the director, you would just be overseeing all of these things, but you don't want to be tied down at the registration table or anywhere. You want to be free to float to handle any issues that are going on or talk to parents that come in and have questions, this type of thing. So again, these are things you'll hopefully have discussed out with your board beforehand and have a plan set up for camp. Uh, the better you have done staffing your camp, the more flexible you are to add a few extra campers in at the end. But you can't add too many more campers than you have staff available for, or it will create real difficulties for you during the week. So make sure you have enough counselors for what's planned, and a little extra is always better. And so if you reach that capacity, the best you can do is tell the parents, oh, man, I am so sorry. We've reached capacity and we just can't handle any more kids. We would really want you to come back next year. We encourage you to pre-register so you don't have to worry about this, and that way your child is guaranteed a spot at camp. Uh, but we just can't take in extras or we'll create problems. Yeah, that can get tough. We want to have a good relationship with parents, and but camp is also a time for that kid to grow personally and stretch, and so that means sometimes being separated from the parents. And so if parents are wanting to patrol every aspect of camp, that's not going to be healthy for the rest of the campers in the camp. And so parents have to decide they're going to leave the kid at camp and trust the camp staff first. And of course, as director, you'll talk with that parent and let them know why they can trust. You've got things under control. You've got safety uh, uh, procedures in place. You've got a nurse. You're going to be able to take care of their child. You want to reassure them that you've got things under control and you'll be okay. The parents can call you, um, but I don't really encourage that. What I tell the parents is we will call you if there's anything that comes up. If there's any problem, if their camper's having a tough time with anything that they need to, we will call the parent and let them know. So we'll keep in touch. Um, if they're a parent that really, really wants to be there, tell them, hey, you know what? Next year, why don't you sign up as a staff person, and you can come on as staff. And that's a good way to be involved in camp. You know, anything can happen. I had a speaker get sick in the middle of camp and have to leave. There's things like that that can disrupt the flow. Obviously, really bad weather or some type of emergency type of thing. We had one year a fire happened not by us, but we were by the airport where the helicopter coming and going all the time. You have to learn to be flexible, to change how you're going to do things to eliminate whatever it is that's causing the disruption, or at least if you can eliminate it, to mitigate its impact so that you can keep the focus of camp on what your purpose is there and what's going on. So learn to be flexible, to think outside the box on how we need to change or do things differently if there is something that's causing a disruption. Best case scenario is you get rid of whatever those things are with disruptions. If you can't get rid of them, what can you do to lessen the impact they're having? You know, we found that the fewer the rules you have, the better and easier it is for the kids to remember and follow them. We have three basic rules that we follow. They're all biblically based. The first one is extremely important. Rule number one, and you want to drill this in the kids over and over again, is no whining or complaining. And this is based on Philippians 2:13 or 14, I'm sorry, 2:14, which says, do all things without grumbling or disputing. We change that to whining or complaining. Man, when anybody has a negative attitude, it sucks the energy out of a whole group. So by curtailing that right from the start, no whining or complaining, and reminding the kids of that, not everything they do is going to be their favorite thing. You can tell them that right up front, but they're going to have a lot of fun if they just do it without whining or complaining. Second rule is pretty simple, comes from Romans 12:10, and it is to respect one another and also the property. And that verse says, be devoted to one another in brotherly love, giving preference to one another in honor. So it just means you're thinking about other people. And that would include all the things like we're not going to trash talk people, we're not going to call names, the boys aren't going to go in the girls' area, the girls aren't going to go in the boys' tents area, this type of thing. We're going to be respectful to one another. We're going to be kind. We're going to build each other up and encourage one another. And we're going to do the same with the property because people have to take care of the property. So that's a way of showing honor to one another. We're just going to take care of each other and one another. And then the final one, and this is an important rule, do everything you're told to do. In 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 13 and 14, it says, submit yourselves for the Lord's sake to every human institution, whether to the king as the one in authority, as the director, you are the king, your word is final, you say what to do, or to governors as sent by him, that's everybody else that's on staff, the counselors, the cooks, the game director. If the kids just understand from the beginning, they just need to do what they're told. It makes it really simple. You don't have to have a whole bunch of other rules, and it makes camp go smooth and easily if they just follow that. And you can remind them of these three rules throughout the week of camp, but just start with them and say, hey, you can remember these three things, camp will go great. So one of the things, because we also want to follow these rules, we want to show honor and show them preference. We don't ever want to humiliate a kid, and so if there's somebody being disruptive, you need to be able to separate them out, take them off to the side, try to talk with them one-on-one, show them what's going on, find out what's happening. You don't know what their story is and what's going on in their life. Show that you really care about them, care about what's happening with them, but then also show how their um, activities and behavior can impact camp, and let them know that that will not be allowed or tolerated, and that there can be consequences at camp. But if they won't get in line, the final option, which we'd hate to have to do, is that they could be sent home. And I have found that that rarely is needed, and most kids will comply. But try to do things privately with them, and let them know what is expected. Modesty is an important value for us at Camp Hallawasa. We want to make sure, staff and all the campers, we are modest in our dress and in our behavior. For dress, for girls, that's going to mean, wearing a dark colored t-shirt whenever we're doing water games, and preferably shorts as opposed to just swim bottoms. For guys, keep your shirt on. Nobody needs to see your muscles that much. But we know that standards are different, preferences are different. If there's something that any staff members see, counselors, cooks, director, that they just don't feel completely comfortable with, let the counselor know of that camper so that counselor can talk to the camper and they can discreetly go and change. We're not going to humiliate. We don't want to put anybody on the spot, but we do want to maintain real positive standards for everybody. So we have it divided into three things, right? Building a relationship with God, with one another, and with nature. That's one of the reasons we have tents rather than cabins and stuff. We want the kids to really have an outdoor experience. They're building that with nature. With God, obviously, we're going to build a relationship through the Bible times, also the personal devotion time. We try to encourage that with every camp. Getting the kids a way to read their Bible, maybe answer a few questions that can be prepared. Oftentimes, having a counselor go and spend a little time one-on-one with a camper during that Bible time, or I mean, the devotional time, can be helping them learn how to build their relationship with God. Building relationships with one another, we focus on keeping things positive, building each other up, encouraging one another. Where it can go astray, obviously, is especially in the older camps, kids start coupling up. They have that little chemistry going between him and her, and all of a sudden they think camp is a great place to build a dating relationship, and that is not the purpose of camp, and actually becomes a distraction, and can, not only for those two, but becomes a distraction for everybody else as they see what's going on and this type of thing. So we really discourage, in a positive way. You say it at the beginning, that, hey, camp's not here for a dating service, so we're not going to be pairing off. We're not going to be having couples go. We're not going to be um, showing undue amounts of affection, sitting on laps and holding hands, walking around camp, and this kind of stuff. That's not the purpose of camp. We're just wanting to build positive relationships amongst everyone, friendships. Some of those friendships can grow deeper over time, and after camp is a great place for that to happen. And we've had a lot of kids have met at camp and ended up getting married. That's cool. But the week of camp itself is not for a dating relationship, it's for friendships to be built. And I think we mentioned that's kind of your last resort in terms of discipline with the kids. You're going to try to talk with them. You're going to try to show them what the expectations are, hopefully bring them in line. But here's the thing, if a kid is creating enough chaos, enough discord in camp that it's negatively impacting the rest of the campers, there comes a time where, for the benefit of the rest of the camp, it's better to send that one disruptive kid home. And you need to pray. You're going to need to get input from the rest of your staff. What's happening here? What's going on? But if you can see that it's hindering the other kids from being able to fulfill what we say is the mission of building relationships with God, with one another, if it's hindering that, then it's time to send that kid home. And so it's a tough decision to make, but you're making it for the benefit of the rest of the campers, even if it might hurt that one kid. And who knows, maybe that's the one thing that would be the impact for that one kid that will get them to start turning around as well. You never know. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, that's probably more common than discipline. We very rarely have had to send a kid home for disciplinary issues, but it has happened. We want to protect the rest of the camp. But the other main reason would be injury or sickness. And so obviously the nurse is going to be key in helping make this decision. But if a child gets sick, most likely he probably doesn't want to, or she doesn't want to stay at camp. When you're not feeling well, you prefer to be home usually. But even if they want to stay, we can't take the chance of infecting the whole rest of the camp with sickness. So if the nurse says, hey, this person is sick and contagious and they just need to be home and under, bed rest and this type of thing, you call the parents, you make that decision together with the parents and do that. Obviously, if there was a bad injury, they may end up going home, although we did have times where people went to the emergency room, got stitched up, and said, "Nope, I'm back at camp." So, again, those are uh, each situation is fluid. It just depends upon the health of the kid, the health of the camp, and the parents and the nurse together making a good decision. It's that final connection with the campers before they leave for a year. And so you're wanting to end camp positively. I think a lot of times the kitchen staff makes caramel rolls or cinnamon rolls for that final breakfast. Yeah, we want to have fun. You want to build that. Again, it's relational. We're building connections. So yeah, a lot of t-shirt signing will go on. Uh, so it's a balance between keeping the kids working and letting them sign T-shirts and share connections as in terms of phone numbers or whatever, so they stay connected during the year. But we do need to make sure the tasks get done in terms of cleaning. So it's a good day, but a tough day for the director to keep that balance, keep that positiveness, but keep making sure that things get done. Because if they don't, the director is going to be staying there all day doing it all by himself, and that's not any fun. You're going to be tired. Staff, everybody's going to be tired by the end of the week. But you got to make sure that the staff stays there, especially your counselors, long enough to see each of their kids out of their tent, helping them get their stuff back to their cars and connected with their parents. But we're also prepping the camp for the next week of camp or for the final cleanup of camp. So your tent as a counselor, you need to make sure it's all completely cleaned out, swept out, ready ready for the next week of camp. We do a special cleaning of the camp. We have the kids and all the campers run through the camp, picking up any bits of trash that may have gotten out and this type of thing. So the camp is clean. We cleaned the bathrooms well, the eating area well. Uh, the kitchen staff is making sure the kitchen is in good shape for the next week. So last day is a work day for the staff, and you need to prep your staff for that so they get that final burst of energy for that last stretch run of camp. So the final thing, of course, is going to be the campers checking out. And this is also incredibly important, especially in our day and age and culture right now. We want to make sure safety is a top priority. So at check-in day, there will be a form that will inform us of who can pick the child up. And hopefully it'll be more than one person because things happen in life. So sometimes a parent might be planning to pick up their child and then have to have somebody else do it. But we can only release a child to the name given to us on the form of who's going to pick that child up. So we want to make sure that that form is filled out. We have that information. If they need to make a change, they will have the director's number. They can call during the week to inform us of what's going on. But when it comes to checkout day, we have to make sure that we are releasing that camper to the right person that is authorized on that form. uh, not to spiritualize it too much, but it's a biblical principle. You can't outgive God. And Jesus himself said, hey, don't store up treasures for yourself on earth. Store it up in heaven. And this is one of the ways you store up treasure in heaven, by giving of yourself for a week. But here's the thing, you're not just giving yourself for a week. God's going to do stuff in you during that week. I can guarantee you it's going to be worth it because of what God does in your own heart and in your own life, let alone how he allows you to have an impact and meaning into other kids' lives. So it's always worth it to do it, even if financially it might leave you a little short on the other end. Um, for yourself, spiritually, mentally, relationally, you'll never regret giving a week of work to camp.